because obviously we have killed a lot of time, the times that we don't have. So I thought today it would be good for us to contemplate Matthew chapter 24. I mean, that sounds completely off topic, but apparently, if you have seen the title, maybe even some of the passages in there, there is some type of connection in there to the health message and to the human body, you could say. So, why is it important to learn anatomy and physiology, for example? Why is it important to learn it and to learn it the right way? That's another thing. Because if you learn it just as pure information, you will lose a lot. You will lose a lot. You know, Ellen White says that the things that we have here, even teaching a child how to clean, right? That is a shadow of something. So why would you teach a shadow and do not teach the real substance, she says. In other words, you're teaching a child to open the windows of the house and to dust the home, but then you let her shut the doors and the windows of the heart and leave the dust of sin and selfishness inside. It's like, wow, I'm like, this is deeper than I thought. So in Matthew chapter 24, the analogy that God uses, at least for part of those structure there at least, for the structure at least, it is of a woman that is what? That is pregnant. So that is quite interesting. So that's exactly what I want us to dissect today as much as we can, because apparently we don't have much time to go into details I would like to go into. So, a woman that is pregnant. Now, question. Let me open my Bible in Matthew 24, and I will hope you'll open yours as well, and tell me, why do you think I say, am I right or am I not, when I say Matthew chapter 24 is written as if a woman that is pregnant is the analogy of the chapter? Why do you think I say that? Where do you think I got it from? Am I inventing it?
No, because of what the scripture says. Like it talks about a woman, talk about like contractions, or like it talks about giving birth, and after the birth is come, she won't feel any pain anymore, something like that. Yeah.
However, everything you're saying is true. However, in Matthew 24, those words don't really appear.
Yeah, that's the.
So how do we get it out of Matthew 24? And you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm just giving you a hard time. Nicely, a nice hard time, which makes us think. Why do I say that? That's a very good question.
Well, in my mind, Matthew 24 talks about the destruction of Jerusalem, and then, what's going to happen at the end of time. And the destruction of Jerusalem could be those labor pains to a degree, because Jesus came to his own received him not. And it was painful for him to see that happen. And so he wants us to see it so that we don't, at the end of time, lose the baby, so to speak. He was losing his child, his children, and it was making him weep. But down here at the end of time, he wants us to see the warning signs, the labor pains happening, so we'll be ready, to push that baby out.
Amen. Praise the Lord. So the secret, you're both right on your comment, but the secret of the chapter itself that really gives you that analogy is verse 8. And it's not in 8. Verse 8. Matthew 24, verse 8. What does it say?
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. The word that is used for the word sorrows here in Greek is what gives you everything. Because in Greek it's not saying beginning of sorrows, just like any type of sorrows, like you hit your toe against a rock. Oh, that's very painful. No, it's talking about labor pain. That's the word we get there in the original. So in other words, the things that Jesus described to the church is almost as Jesus is saying this. Okay, notice, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. But don't freak out yet. This is only the beginning of your pregnancy. Okay, not the beginning of pregnancy, but the beginning of the sorrows, the beginning of the birth pain. So then, all of a sudden, the minds of the disciples would kick in the symptoms that a woman that is pregnant would have to go to before they can actually see the baby coming. Because that's what Jesus did right here. He mentions some things to them. He says, but don't worry. Right now, it's just the beginning of the pain. You see that? So that's how it is. But let's go to 1 Thessalonians. This is not on your thing there. I want you to put it down, please. Write it down on it. That way you can just do more studies later. So take a note of this, please. 1 Thessalonians. Somebody once said, a short pen is better than a long memory. That's when it comes to taking notes. Obviously, it's not in all cases. But I believe in it when it comes to taking notes. We believe, I remember that one. And then I receive calls all the time. What are those herbs that you mentioned in class yesterday? I told you to take a note. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Okay, let's read verse 1 forward. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as a travail of a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. What is it talking about? The first or the second coming? Everything about here is describing what coming? The second coming, obviously. So we know this is about the second coming. So now, why am I coming to these verses for you? I want to show you that the understanding of anatomy and physiology is not that you can become a doctor. The understanding of anatomy and physiology is that you can come closer to God through that knowledge. Literally. Every doctor should know Jesus better if they have been taught the right way. Every doctor. So understanding anatomy and physiology, when you come to the Bible, it will open up your mind to understand the structures that God has within His Word. Because He's using those analogies all the time. So what is it so different, so special, so in parallel with the church in the last days in the body of a woman when she is pregnant? What is it? That's what I had to question. And then I brought some passages for you that when Ellen White talks about a pregnant woman, how she should be treated, how should be the position of the husband, and then we're going to see that in the church and Jesus Christ. Not only that, we have a little bit of the science quotations in here as well. But before that, Rachel might have some trouble downstairs. Can somebody understand that printer at all? Maybe you can help Rachel, because it doesn't seem like she's got it. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to print these things. Anyway, let's start reading. This is so bad, I'm so sorry. Anyway, it says in the first one, Adventist Home, page 256, the attitude that a woman that is pregnant should have. Very powerful one. Ellen White says, it is an error generally committed to make no difference in the life of a woman previous to the birth of her children. At this important period, the labor of the mother should be lightened. So think about it. She's talking about a pregnant woman. How should you treat her? The labor should be lightened. Great changes are going on in her system. How does Ellen White know? It requires greater amount of blood and therefore an increase of food of the most nourishing quality to convert into blood. Unless she has an abundant supply of nutritious food, she cannot retain her physical strength, and her offspring is robbed of vitality. Friends, this is way too much science for the 1800s. For somebody that didn't have much, how do I say it? Much education. Way too much science for somebody that did not have past third grade. So what she's saying, when a woman is pregnant, blood increases in the body. By the way, that is between 30 to 50% more blood. Now, that is a lot more blood. Which means that also her heart will have to beat faster. Because if you have more blood in the body, the heart has to do more job to deal with their blood. Now think about these things. Notice we're not studying anatomy and physiology in class today, right? We're going into the things that we have already put a basis. So we're going to use some of those things, some of those parallels of the laws of health. and depict what is Jesus trying to say, that a woman here, the church as a woman before he's coming, is a pregnant woman. What is Jesus trying to say? So what are things that Ellen White says in this first passage? I want you to think with me. That should be done to the woman that is with child. What should we do to help them? Specifically the husband here. Please.
Lighter labor.
Lighter labor. Anything else? Obviously there is something else. What else?
Increase of food.
Increase of food. What type of food?
Nourishing quality.
Nourishing quality food. What else? What else is happening? Why does all this need to take place?
To nourish the little life inside of it.
Okay, so what is going on in her body that requires a more nourishing food than before? You notice she's not talking about, oh, get out of your junk food and come to healthy food. That's not what she's talking about. She's talking about get out of your nourishing food and go over to most nourishing food. Don't do which is right now. Because of the circumstance, you need to do that which is best right now. You get the point? There is a point I'm saying this to you, by the way. It's a very powerful lesson. Lightens her burden because the blood in her body is increasing. And then she needs an increase of nourishment. What is it that makes blood?
Food.
Food. So if you need more blood, what do you need?
More food.
Is it necessarily in quantity?
Both. Quantity and quality.
And sometimes you don't even have to use quantity. Sometimes you don't even need to use quantity. What do I mean? You can eat a bowl of rice and beans to get your proteins, or you can have this much cashews and still get the same amount of protein. You see what I'm saying? And that's protein. I'm just giving an example here. It takes you a whole bowl of the rice and beans to be able to get that which you can get right here. If I'm saying the word right, I know these things I say right. That one I know I can say it better. But yeah, so you get the point? So in other words, it's not that what you're doing right is wrong, but because of your circumstance, you need to do that which is best. Let's continue because, no watch. My watch broke. Okay, next paragraph. Adventist Home, page 257. That's the very next thing. Ellen White continues to say. Rachel, can you please read it for us? Thank you so much, by the way, for getting the things printed.
Oh, yeah, where?
Second paragraph on this paper right here. Right here. Second paragraph. What does it say?
Great care should be exercised to have the surroundings of the mother pleasant and happy. The husband and father is under special responsibility to do all in his power to lighten the burden of the wife and mother. He should bear as much as possible the burden of her condition. He should be affectionate, courteous, kind and tender, and specially attentive to all her wants. Not half the care is taken of some women while they are bearing children that is taken of animals in the stable.
Did you guys get that comparison? And after all, I don't want to sidetrack, but after all, this is the United States of America, where little kitties, when they're about to have their offsprings, get more attention than a woman when about to bring a life into the world. Isn't that sad? You know, it's easy for some whores to make it to the news because of some amazing bird than a woman, you know? Anyway, I mean, I'll go too much to this, but and what is saying, the attention that you could be applying towards your wife while she's with the child, and you're applying it somewhere else, that's wrong. You need it a lot right now. Put all your attention as a husband, put it over your wife right now. Her tender needs, you have to be there for it, okay? So pay attention. And think about it. Let me give it to you right now, lest I forget. Between the church and her husband, who is the husband? Christ. So do you see what Christ does in the last day to his last day church? Everything that's been mentioned there is what Christ focused on doing to the church right prior to his coming. Because that's the church that is called the pregnant woman. So she needs all this attention. So I wonder, how does that affect her food, her burden being lightened? What those things mean? Quite interesting. Let's go to the book of Isaiah right there. It says in Isaiah 26 verse 16 and 17. Brother Lucanda, please read it for us. Isaiah. What does it say?
Lord, in trouble have they visited thee, They poured out a prayer when thy chastening was upon them. Like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain and crieth out in her pangs, so have we been in thy sight, O Lord.
So what is that? What is Isaiah doing? Same exact thing. He's comparing troublous time with the pain of pregnancy. Let's move on quickly. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 12 and 13. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause. I think we're going to skip that verse. I don't know. I don't remember why it's there, but I think it's out of place. Anyway, so let's come. We already read verse 7 and 8, right? So Jesus talks about nation rising against nation, right? And all these things that he talks about, he calls them the beginning of sorrows. And we know that the word sorrows there in Greek is what gives you the idea of a birth pain. Now my question is, what kind of a pregnant woman is the church? Is this a very experienced pregnant woman? Is that what the Bible says? Or is it one that is maybe experiencing her first pregnancy? Maybe not more than just her second pregnancy. So what is it? That would be good questions to ask and wonder if the Bible has the answer. All right, let's read some of these verses. They will blow your mind. Okay, so obviously we see Jeremiah 3:20 says, departed from her husband, right? Jesus Christ is the husband. I put those verses down not because you don't know it, but so we can have it, okay? Jeremiah 31:32, not according to the covenant. Are you guys following me? We're still in the first page, yeah? That I made with her fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of Egypt, and then covenant with them, and then I was a husband unto them. You see this? Continually, God mentions these things, right? Now, let me see what verse I was going to show you. I don't see it here. I don't see it, but anyway. So now let's get into the second paper for a second. Okay, we're going to pause right there and look at the second paper for a second because we're supposed to start with this paper. Now you see the first page of the second paper here? I mean like the sheet. Sorry. Okay. So you see the very cover paper, right? I want you to see something. We have covered some of these things, so I would assume you wouldn't forget the correlation between the laws of health and how you apply it to the church. Because that serves you a great purpose in understanding Matthew 24, at least from that perspective. So the church is a woman with child. So the woman goes through birth pain, right? And what is that in the church? Tribulation. And you can keep your eyes in Matthew 24. The numbers that is there, those are verses. Those are verses that's telling you exactly that. Now watch this. Lots of pain, but don't freak out. The end is not yet. Does that happen with a pregnant woman?
Yes.
Have you ever seen somebody that tells, there is a little girl in my village in Cape Verde, her name is Dina. Have you heard that name? Mm-hmm. There are some people with that name. So it's a nice name. But in Cape Verde, everybody knows that's the name of a car.
Really?
Literally. So why is the girl named Dina? Because, when women are with their pain and all those that have already trod that road before them, no, don't worry yet. It's not coming yet. No, don't worry, you're freaking out too much. Next thing you know, the lady gave birth inside of the car called Dina, and then the little child was named Dina. Do you know why this happened? Because there was somebody in the background. Even though there is pain, don't worry. Peace and safety. You get the point? Paul says, when they start crying to you, don't worry, peace and safety. No, it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. That's when it hits. Do you see that? So women, do they know the exact day and hour that thing is going to come?
No.
The doctor attempt to give it. At least today, right? They attempt to give it, right? Can they do it? Are they accurate in giving this specific time?
No.
They can't. But do they know the season? Do you see why Jesus is giving this analogy? Because it's such a big parallel. So then we have beginning of birth pain, all right? And then beginning of tribulation, that's what Jesus was depicting there. Expecting a child, and then that is equivalent to what? Right there on your paper, the third one. Brother Lucano, you with us? Beginning of, the third option, beginning of birth pain, that's equivalent to what?
Beginning of tribulation.
The beginning of tribulation is right there mentioned, right? Expecting a child?
Expecting the Son of Man.
Expecting the Son of Man to come. He will be revealed. These are the parallels. And by the way, I put it here so you can go ahead and just confirm them. Look at them and get some meat out of them. It says, this pain is like no other. Does women go through other pain before birth pain?
Yes.
Is it the same?
No.
I don't know by experience, but is it hard to know that it is like no other pain?
Well, they say when your contractions get closer together and more intense, then you're closer. So for me and my first, I kept track of every labor pain. I wrote down the time and intensity so that I would know, and then after days of that, okay, the pain's getting stronger, and like 5 minutes apart or 4 minutes apart, okay, it's time to go to the hospital. Then they check you and they say, nope, you haven't dilated enough, go home.
And I have to go home. You see, do you see this expectation, this expectancy, or how I say it? It's like exactly the pitch that God wants His church to have right prior to the coming of Christ. By the way, what Sister Teresa just mentioned there, it's the only thing that explains to you what Jesus says, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes.
But the end is not yet.
Why? Because earthquakes have been happening forever.
Then they'll become more intense,
They become more intense
more frequent.
and more frequent. That's the only thing that explains Matthew 24. The only thing that explains it is the body of a pregnant woman. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Praise the Lord.
Exactly. Like no other, nothing else there like is explaining it but the body of a pregnant woman. So is it important that we keep the illustration that Jesus began with? Very important. Because people say that, oh, you guys been saying that, you've been preaching that message, earthquakes been happening forever. But you can go to science. And on Google, by the way, they had one that started in 1991 all the way up till now. Earthquakes used to happen like a few per year. Just a few per year. Now, it's like dozens of earthquakes. Every month you have dozens of earthquakes. Per day you have more than one. I'm just trying to be moderate because I don't remember the number. You go in there and check it, like the intensity of earthquake from 1990s till right now. So that's the only thing that explains it, the body of a pregnant woman. But all the other things that must happen with the body of a pregnant woman have their analogy and their illustration of something else for the church of God that's waiting for Christ to come. So then again, let's actually go back a little bit. Why is this important for somebody that is becoming a lifestyle educator? Because you don't have to go somewhere and preach the shadow and leave the substance out.
Amen.
Don't do it, friends. I plead with you. Don't do it, because doctors, we have enough in the world. What we don't have in the world are power-filled missionaries that know how to combine the physical and the spiritual. That's what we need, and that's my desire. To become one that when I open my mouth, that people can see more than one thing coming out, but all I'm saying is one thing. You know? You gotta give people meat enough to chew on it. When Jesus says, about the parable of the lilies, the flowers and the birds and all these things, can a child understand that?
Yeah.
Can a scientist have something in there?
Yeah.
You see the beauty of it? But when we go into the doctors and just quote doctors, then we lose a lot, friends. The Bible has it all, okay? Breathing rate increases in a pregnant woman. Did you know that? Now, according to our studies, what is the breathing rate? What is breathing equivalent to in the spiritual side? Prayer. Do you think it's a need for a woman that lives right before Christ comes? Do you think her prayer life should continue as those that lived before, maybe? Or should it be more intense? What do you think? What do you guys think? Talk to me. I feel like we're disconnected today. Should be more intense. Okay, thank you.
Can I mention something about that?
Oh, please.
Because when you're going through labor, I took classes on how to breathe.
Thank you.
How to breathe to take away the pain. I still do that today.
Oh, praise the Lord, I like this.
If I'm in pain, I will go back to those breathing methods and just makes the body relax. Instead of fighting, instead of screaming out and crying, you know, you breathe a certain way and it just calms you, takes away the pain.
Now, somebody, I want somebody to tell me, how would you apply exactly what she said in the church? I think we have enough meat. We have already got covered enough meat for me to ask this question. The church is going through pain. Now talk to me. Anybody.
A lot of the times when someone may be going through a difficult time or a tribulation, that's when they tend to pray less because they worry more. And just like a woman in pain, she may be screaming, and you would think, oh, she's screaming, she's breathing, but she's not breathing properly.
Exactly.
And
Right.
during our spiritual life, when we're going through trials, that's when we're supposed to, like, say, breathe. And when you're doing Lamaze, the breathing exercise when you're pregnant, you're doing it right when you reach a place of calm. If you haven't reached the calm, then you know you're not doing it right. And just for the Christian, if the Christian isn't praying properly, if their prayer life isn't where it should be, then they won't reach a place of calm.
And what's important
so
is
powerful.
what you focus on. So when you're going through extreme pain, like when Kimberly was being born, there was a television right up in the room, and my husband was there, and he was watching the football game or something. And I'm going through extreme pain, like on another planet. I grabbed him, I said, look at me because I want to focus on your face. So what you focus on helps you. See, what are we focusing on today? Are we focusing on amusements, sports, movies, music, all these things? Is that what's going to calm us? Absolutely not.
It won't.
No. So the praying is like, what are you focusing on? It's Him, the only one who can give you strength.
Oh, friends, this is so powerful. Now, because we have enough meat already for me to just throw things at you, what is the exercise equivalent to again, as far as the spiritual sense?
Pray.
Exercise. Breathing is prayer.
Evangelism.
Evangelism, godliness, good works. Now, friends, did you know that exercise is super crucial when a woman is pregnant? It actually helps us with her trouble time of the pregnancy. Certain types of exercise works amazingly in helping her with things that only pregnancy brings. I wonder if the type of evangelism we should be doing when the labor pain is going on should be so specific and different and just for the time. Because that's the equivalent. These are things I wonder. Did Christ mention anything about evangelism to that woman right there in Matthew 24? And these, verse 14, what did it say?
Gospel.
This gospel.
Wow. And that gospel, when it's preached everywhere, what happened?
And
It brings the end more smoothly. That's powerful. Are you guys with me? Are you keeping the two parallels in your mind, the parallels in your mind?
And the last work will be the medical missionary work. So that brings in the A&P. Gotta
Isn't
know
that
the body.
amazing?
Yeah.
So the exercise of the church is what actually ushers the end more nicely. The exercise of a pregnant woman's life is what actually ushers the end more nicely.
The exercise of the evangelism before pregnancy, right?
Mhm.
Is basically to maintain a good level of health. And in the woman's case, maintain a good level of health, keep extra weight off, and keep the heart pumping, good blood. Because our hope is to become pregnant, just like the church even back then, the hope was for the second coming of Christ. And so
Mhm.
the prayer, the exercise, and everything was in maintaining with that, but now the exercise has to change because of the pregnancy. Not in hope of the pregnancy, but because of the pregnancy. And so Christ said, this gospel. And so he's pointing out a particular gospel, a particular exercise, a particular message, and a particular method, like Sister was saying. So what we have today that's dragging along in the pregnancy is not going to bring the end.
Powerful. So friends, let's quickly go to the end now, right? I'm going to try to skip some things that I don't need to read so much. I want you to make sure you go over these papers on your own time. Please, bring something out between you and the Lord and study it out for yourself. Make it deeper, okay? Have an experience. Watch what Ellen White said, right? She said it requires a greater amount of blood, right? You remember that sentence? Because she has the greater need. There is 2 lives to be nourished now. So therefore, you need a more nourishing food for that time. I wonder if all these things I'm saying to you is actually within Matthew 24. Because I haven't proven much to you. I'm just throwing things at you. It's making sense for sure. But watch this. 1 Timothy chapter 4. Remember we read it, right? You remember that? If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, thou shalt be a good minister, which means a garçon, one that serves food and drink, right? Nourished up in the what? In the words of doctrine, right? But not only that, if you notice 1 Timothy chapter 6, I do not remember exactly what verse is 8. I want to go there, but should I go there? Let's go there, friends. Let's go there very quickly. 1 Timothy chapter 6, okay? I want you to see a verse that is so powerful, friends. Did you know the whole thing about godliness and exercise and nutrition follows into Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6, by the way? All of it. I want you to pay attention to verse 3. It says, if any man, let me see if I can have it right here. I'm going to read from verse 1 quickly and I'll focus on verse 3, okay? Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed, okay? And they that believe in masters, they that have believed in masters, let them not despise them because they are brethren, but rather do them service because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. If any man teach otherwise and consent not to what type of words?
Wholesome.
Wholesome words. What does that mean? What does a wholesome word mean? This is pretty much the same expression that we used to say. It's not refined. Praise the Lord, I'm having whole wheat. That's the expression that Paul is using to Timothy. If something is taken out of it, don't touch it. You need wholesome. Even the words of our Lord Jesus Christ and to the doctrine which is according to godliness. And then he continues with things that I could tell you, but we cannot focus on it, right? All right. So in other words, specific food for specific time. Watch this. It says in having... HLV. I know it's a devotional. What's the name again? No, it's Helping Daily Living, I think, right? I think that's what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to read it. You check it later. I don't want to kill my time, okay? As Enoch, Noah, Abraham, you can follow me on the paper. We are on the other paper now. So I told you I was going to jump there, but we keep going back and forth to the paper. So hopefully you're able to follow me. As Enoch, please, because if you don't follow me, we're going to lose each other. I know this one is a bunch of parallels, but please try to wrap your mind around it as much as you can. Can you see that passage? It's right under 1 Timothy there. As Enoch. Now you got it? Okay, good. Everybody got it? That's in that paper right there. Please follow me as much as you can, friends, because obviously that's the reason I'm printing this paper for you. I almost never do this.
From heaven with love.
So... the fact that we're doing is I would love if we could use it. What is it?
From heaven with love.
From heaven with love. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a devotional?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. As Enoch, Noah, Abraham, and Moses each declared the truth for his time, So will Christ's servants now give the special warning for their generation. The need is different. The food is different. Now, what about lighten the burden? What does that mean? Psalms chapter 38 calls sin a burden, friends. Christ must give this woman a light feeling and experience when it comes to the burden of sin before the baby comes. Did you know that? So otherwise, it's not going to help her. What is it?
Psalms what?
Psalms. It's right there on the paper. Psalms 38. You see it? You see Psalms 55 right there on the paper? Cast thy burden upon the Lord. And then it says right there, gone over mine head as an heavy burden. And then you have Christ makes the invitation in Matthew 11. And then you have Hebrews 12 up there somewhere saying we need to take this weight that compasses us. All these are burdens that Christ wants to take away. All right? So you can study it out more. These are all just information, you know, but you want to dig into it. The yoke, I'm not going to read that one. Okay, we got that out of the way. Let's get this one out of the way. What time is it? Yeah, 5 minutes. Breathing. Now let's see why I said what I said on this paper. We are on this paper right now. Everybody together with me? We are on this paper. We're going to prove what we said now. So go to the back of the first sheet. That's what we're going to do now, okay? I just want you to get it, but then organize your information according to your understanding, okay? Organize your information according to your understanding. Matthew 24:20 says, pray that your flight will not take place in winter or Sabbath day. Prayer was brought into Matthew 24 as a very specific thing. Now you just don't pray for just food and drink. You just don't pray for the kingdom to come alone. You pray for specific things, and that is for your tribulations. Do you get the point?
Amen.
Pray according to your need right now. As a pregnant woman, your flight is coming, so you pray for that. Breathe according to your need right now. This pain will be aided by the way you breathe. So God is saying to the church, this pain will be aided by the way you breathe. Okay? So, Ellen White, somebody read it. Rachel, please read it for us.
So,
As the perils.
as the perils of the last days thicken about us, they should pray more earnestly that the work may prosper.
Question. Do we feel like there's a need to do this kind of like right now because of this issue around the world? Is this trying to hinder our work? So Ellen White is pretty much saying the last days people have some specific prayers to do, some different prayers than ever before. Watch it on another one. Sister Tamika, please read the other one on prayer, page 274. What does it say?
Those who profess the truth for these last days about every other path of proficiency should imitate the great exemplar in prayer.
Those who what?
Profess.
The truth?
For these last days.
How should they pray? Just like Noah did. Above every other class of professed Christians. In other words, the prayer life of those that live right before the second coming must be completely different than anyone else on planet Earth. Is there by happenstance that the body of a pregnant woman told me this truth? Or is it that God is using these principles that when we study one, we also understand the others? And friends, by the way, did you know this? That when I study things like this in anatomy and physiology, it's so hard to forget them. So hard to forget them. It's not because I have this great memory. I love to think in parallels, and they're easier and more organized to think in. That's me right here. But when you think about the Bible and you know exactly what's going to be there, then you will always remember the other side. So you could come right now, you have nothing in mind of how to help a woman that's struggling in her pregnancy, and you open Matthew 24. That would be funny. But it's right there. Because God used that principle. Then you start to think of those things. Okay, so hold on. Prayer is here. What is prayer equivalent to again? Oh, breathing. Hold on. I remember that I heard somebody said that if you breathe the right way and oxygenate your blood the right way, it will actually help you relax and help you with your tension in the body. And You get the point? Friends, this is powerful. Specific nutrition. Watch this. During pregnancy, healthy foods provide the optimum mix of baby-building nutrients. This is WebMD. Starting in the second trimester, you'll need about 300 additional. This is on top of your daily need, on top of your 1,000 something, 300 more calories in your diet every day. This is powerful. Why am I saying this? In Matthew 24, verse 45, Jesus told the disciples, listen, in all of these, after telling them all the pain and everything that's going to happen, I need one thing. I need a ruler. I need one that will lead my body. And that one, his job is going to be to give them their food in what time? In due season. So we read that, we say it sounds like saying timely. What is it really saying? What is Ellen White idea or comment? I shouldn't even say idea. What is Ellen White comment on this? Somebody read it for me. Sister Victoria, please read it for me.
During pregnancy, as faithful householders,
Mm-hmm.
as faithful householders give meat in due season to the household of God, present truth to the people, work as if in full view of the whole universe of heaven.
Because the need of the church as a pregnant woman is so different, she needs more calories. Do you see that? And in other words, 300 calories additional to the pregnant woman because of the specific need. The church in the last days needs a lot more nourishing food.
Mercy.
So we need to jump out of the state of trying to feed a woman just refined food when she's pregnant. She's going to die, her and both the baby. And here the baby symbolizes Jesus Christ. Obviously the baby in this case is nothing is going to happen to him. That's the difference here in Matthew 24. But the woman herself can get into trouble. And in a sense, every single one of them represents the woman. The general sense is the church. But every single one of us represents the woman. Because notice, the consequence that can fall upon the woman can fall upon one person. The benefit can fall all upon one person when it comes to our individual relationship. But as a whole, it is the church, the people of God. So now watch Ellen White says more about it. There are many, do you see that? Early writing 63. There are many precious truths contained in the Word of God. But it is, let me pause right there. Is precious truth the wrong thing? Where does she say it is? In the Word of God. Is this something bad? Is this bad food? But because of the time that we live in, what type of food we need to give? Present truth that the flock needs now. I have seen the danger of the messengers running off from the important points of present truth to dwell upon subjects that are not calculated to unite the flock and sanctify the soul. Satan will here take every possible advantage to injure the cause. Friends, this is so powerful. So I know what he's saying. Food that is healthy is good. But a pregnant woman needs more than just healthy food. She needs super nourishing, healthy food. Precious truth is like a good bowl of rice and whole grains with it. Some beans with it, I meant to say. It's like that. But a pregnant woman, I'm afraid, might not be nourished in just rice and beans. So you need stuff like broccolis. You need stuff like much different types of beans. You need some lentils in there, some legumes, some different types of veggies. The leafy greens. Why? Because she's making blood. To make blood, you need folate. You need iron. Without those things, you cannot make the blood the right way. And the more blood you're making, the more you have need of these nutrients, of these vitamins and minerals and all of those. For the church, friends, it's the same thing. The need of the church before Jesus comes is so great that just precious truth won't work. So give her meat in due season. That's what Christ is saying. My wife is pregnant, and I don't want her to be eating precious foods. I want her to eat present food. I'm using a lot of play on word here. I hope you understand. Precious food, precious truth, present truth. Healthy food, super nourishing, healthy food. That's the comparison. That's what Christ is saying. Now, when is it that woman craves food that maybe might not even be healthy more than ever before? During the time that she needs it most, friends. You notice how I have to be careful because I can turn this into a sermon very quick. You see it coming? The time that the church craves precious truth more than ever before is that this time right now that it is pregnant. But what is your duty? To give them present truth. Ellen White defines those, so you won't be able to say, oh, I'm not able to understand what it is. What is present truth? She says sanctuary message, 2300 days, the commandments, the faith of Jesus. Many people don't apply this one in present truth. Righteousness by faith is the message of the hour. Because you rest and you let go of your burden. That's righteousness by faith. The woman that is pregnant, you need to rest and lighten your burden. Do you see the connection, friends? Understanding anatomy and physiology can get you closer to Jesus Christ. We're probably a little bit over here. Give me just another few moments right here so we can go through some of these. Brother Lucado, you had a point. Can you make it very quick for us, please, so we can just finish these? Thank you so much, brother.
It's what the ladies usually crave is junk food when they're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the parallel of trying to bring just alone the health message to a person who is refusing it all along. And even worse so when they're pregnant, they don't want even that, they want junk food. So it's the same parallel with the church today.
Big parallel.
They want junk food instead of having this full course meal of nutrients and vitamins and all the things that they need. So therefore, the mindset goes along with it too.
Exactly. It's a huge
They're
parallel.
actually living as if they're not pregnant.
Exactly. And that's the problem. Because your need is not like that person that is living regular life. You are in a specific need. Ezekiel 34, by the way, Jesus goes very hard on shepherds that are not feeding the right way. Very, very, very tough things. Anyway, why exercise during pregnancy? That is the question coming straight out of Mayo Clinic. And then they give you all the help, right? The mood, the energy, it helps with back pains, which can come, bloating, swelling, all these things, right? Like the muscle tone, the strength and endurance, all these things, right? Because of it shortened her labor. That's what I wanted you to pay attention to. In Matthew 24, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world. That's the exercise of the pregnant church. You know? And then what happens? That's what brings the end more smoothly, friends. That's the proof right there. It's a huge parallel. But anyway, we don't have time to take everything as I would like to take them. But watch this right here. Okay. When our will is swallowed up, you see that one? Desire Vegas? In the will of God. And we use his gifts to bless others, we shall find life's burden what? Light. As the woman that is full of burden thinking, oh, exercise is just another burden. She's thinking wrong. Get up and move. Your burden will feel lighter. The church thinks, such a time as this, to preach the gospel is so hard, there's much burden. No, God is saying that in itself actually lightens your burden. And I just give you that one passage for lack of others that I could find. Because I know they're out there. So powerful ones.
Exercise, what do you develop?
Muscle.
Muscle represents judgment. Our judgment is not correct today because of the food we're eating, number one, and we're not exercising. So also, we're in the time of judgment. So all of it ties together, and the more you can see of the full picture, the more you're going to be willing to do. And one thing about the food that you crave when you're pregnant, the one thing that made me the sickest was the Loma Linda canned food and the Worthington canned food. When you look at the ingredients, it's so bad.
Exactly.
And so God is calling us back to that wholesome diet as well.
So now,
That have the right judgment though.
exactly. So now we can study one and apply it on the other. You will always be a medical missionary if you study the Bible the right way. Everywhere you go, you can preach it. Can you preach this message on a Saturday? Can you help a pregnant woman that is literally there and pregnant?
Yeah.
Can you have the church that is right there with the same exact message, understanding how to live before Jesus comes? Do you see the power of our message, friends? It's not that we may inform the people, it's that we may aid transformation in people. Let's quickly look at this quickly. Heart rate increases. I'm not going to go too much into that. 10 to 20 extra beats. In other words, it's a sense of urgency to be able to keep up with the blood. And Christ says, flee. You know, there's like this sense of urgency He's putting in the church at that point because of their need. But I'm not going to be able to do all this. Another thing to look at is this, not just urgency, but also the heart is the ruler that feeds the whole body. The heart is a symbol of the ministers of God today. There is more need of feeding people all that blood, all that food. And you need to do it the right way. You need to work faster. You need to work more intense. You need to work more serious because the need is greater. That's what's happening in their body. That's what should be happening in this body. Where there could be hundreds employed in the vineyard of the Lord, where there is now one. The ruler, there is a need of these. I'm not going to be able to cover all this, okay? I'm just going to go right through it. 1 Corinthians 14:8, it says, trumpet needs to be given a certain sound. This is the diet of the church. The message needs to be given a certain sound. Don't just give precious truth. Give truth stuff, present truth. And now I just finished it with some superfoods for pregnancy, according to some just science right there. Just to finish with this paper like that. In the case I just share it with somebody, they can just have a little nugget right there. You know, some things that people are suggesting just to boost the body, showing us the church needs a prenatal environment.
Amen.
It's called present truth. It has everything in it. Everything in it. And the faith of Jesus should be the center of our present truth messages. Friends, I'm sorry I took you too much time, but I hope this was at least the beginning of something amazing. Because, there's so much to it. I just really couldn't give you everything the way that I could give it to you, but at least we have to start. Study it for yourself. The Lord will bless you as you present it in different places. You know? Now you can take one thing, study it out, and pay attention on structures, illustrations, and be able to understand what is God saying. Why is He using the body? Why would God say the eye is the light of the body? Why is such a thing? It's anatomy and physiology that Christ is bringing up. You know? The body is many members, but one. You know? Revelation chapter, I don't remember what chapter, talks about Jesus with the same sense, with some benefits of some things that could benefit health if practiced. So there's so much, but I cannot just give you the whole Bible. I have to just park what the Lord has shared with me, and then you go home and study it for yourself. Let's stand and sing, Behold, a Manner of Love. We're already late. You guys are working outside today again? In here?